Right, Munson here on the Good Morning Portugal show. We're talking to Daniela Lopes Costa from OTS, the law firm in the capital, in Lisboa, right, Daniela?
Exactly. So our law firm, is based in Lisbon, near Parque das Nações, currently. But I personally live in the south side, near Sesimbra, currently.
Margem Sul.
Margem Sul,
Yes,
exactly.
very, very nice over there. Absolutely lovely.
Born and raised in
Are
Almada.
you? So
yes.
you know Almada, proud to be an Almadense? Is that what you call yourself?
Almadense,
Almadense,
exactly.
fantastic, wonderful. Right, I'm a really big fan of South of the River. We're talking to you this morning about, well, we first began a conversation talking about setting up a charity here in Portugal, which I think you can help people with. Before we go into the specifics of that, maybe you should tell us more about the law firm and the sort of areas you cover so that people can get a sense of the scope of your company.
Yes, so very easily. We are currently a boutique law firm. We rename it and reframe it in the last 2 years when I joined with my partner. I personally do international and taxation. This is my field and my department. We also have the corporate, the immigration, and the real estate department. Great. Which is quite strong. And my partner is responsible for those areas, and I'm only responsible for taxation and investment law and startup law.
How did you I'm distracted already. I want to know how you got into that as a specialism.
Well, I'm a lawyer, but we say that tax lawyers are not like normal lawyers because we are a bit crazy and informal to say.
Yes. How do you put that? How do you say that politely?
Well, politely, it's true. And I can see that in myself. But I really like taxation. Tax, it was from the start when I studied law school, one of the areas that interests me the most. I think it's a very interesting area because you speak with people that sometimes know more than you.
Yes.
So you are always learning about different fields. And it's quite interesting because you can do a lot of things. You have a lot of tax benefits, and when you know the law, and personally, I try to also with my pro bono cases and, well, with family and friends, to kind of put into use what is usually used only for people that are high net worth individuals or that have money to spend with lawyers or with really good accountants, to kind of give more a sense of normality of those benefits and regimes and trying to have. So I think it's a really cool area. And I really didn't like the other areas that are that personal, really? to be honest. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a calling then. And normally when I've spoken to people in law about taxation, they say, well, you'd need to speak to an accountant about that. So how does it work for you? I mean, presumably you work with accountancy professionals as well. But so from your angle, you're advising on the legal position about people's assets and their liabilities, are you?
Exactly. And I think a good tax lawyer needs to know a bit of accountancy. And I worked in consultancy firms in Big Fours, and that is important and relevant so that you have the idea of how it works in practice.
Yes.
I think it's a complementary job. We need accountants to work. They need us sometimes when it's a more complex thing. But I always distinguish in the following. When it's a legal regime, either if it's a tax regime, it's better to have a tax lawyer in the sense of more complex matters, or even if it's a simple matter, but it's a legal regime. So sometimes the work starts with an accountant and then they pass us the work. So most of my jobs and clients, especially in Portugal, they are referred by accountants currently.
And you would be involved in setting things up and the machinery rather than the day-to-day of how people are paying their taxes. It's like wealth management, I suppose, in 2 words. It would be a wealth management issue.
It's a bit like that. So sometimes it's planning from the beginning, which is the work that I like the most because I can be preventive, as that is my strong characteristic, but as well sorting out problems. Okay. Yes. So when I have clients from the beginning and we are setting up or restructuring their international assets or companies and avoiding contingencies, what we do is that we either work with the accountants that they have in Portugal and in other jurisdictions as a team, and with other tax lawyers as well. Okay. If sometimes a client comes with us with a problem that the accountant couldn't sort it out, we just work as a team. And the idea is to sort it out that issue so that the client continues working with the accountants.
Very good.
Because there is a distinguish, and we cannot do what the accountants do
Yeah.
in some areas, and vice versa. So
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's really good to know. So I think we have a better sense of who you are and what you do, and perhaps this might become an ongoing legal clinic in some way. Because I have a first question for you that's
sure.
come up that I think you can help with, and the scenario is a couple who are coming to, they're foreigners coming to live in Portugal, and they would like to bequeath their wealth upon their death to a charity, which I guess gives us a few questions here. First of all, is it possible to do that? Can you create a will here in Portugal that if you don't want to or don't need to leave your money to your family, you can leave it to nominated charity or charities? Is that, in the first instance, is that possible here in Portugal for people in that particular situation with that particular requirement?
Yes, it is possible. So it is possible in two different ways. Either you just write down the will, and there you can have the issue of what is the jurisdiction that you have on the will. And so the rules may be different. So in Portugal, you need to leave at least a percentage. You cannot give everything at all. So the heirs need to receive some part of it. But some cases you can also choose another law, which is more beneficial in your case, if that is the case. But nevertheless, you have two ways to do it if you want to just make sure that your goods and your patrimony goes to according to your wishes. So either you set up a really good will in the sense that you split and be very specific of who you are giving into and the charities that you choose and who is responsible for that, and then you will have a person that is responsible to making sure that after you die, to make sure that your wishes come true. And the second option, if we are talking about bigger assets, you can think about setting up a foundation as well in Portugal.
Right. That was going to be my second question, because that's a
Yeah,
very interesting possibility, isn't it?
it is. It is. So the foundations here in Portugal, when we think about charity, we have two bigger figures. We have the association and the foundations. The foundations are distinguished from the association because they are based on assets and patrimony. So it's quite different from the association that is more based on the idea and getting together with people to develop some type of idea.
Yeah.
Both of them can be 100% non-profitable and related to an area. But if we are talking about assets, we need to talk about foundations. So you can just have scrutinize an object of activity of that foundation. So it will be the goal of the foundation, and basically the assets from the founder will be into that goal as well. You will have some tax benefits and characteristics, of course, because the foundation and the principle of the foundation, if it's not having a commercial activity, then the law recognizes that, and you may be exempt, for instance, from corporate income tax, VAT, and even IME, which is the municipal property tax, if that property is allocated to the activity that the foundation secures. It could be culture, scientific structures, and research. It will depend, really.
Okay, very good. So to elaborate on that, other conversations I've had with foreigners, expats, people coming to live in Portugal and wanting to be here for the rest of their lives, and also wanting to give back to the culture that they love so much and that's made them welcome. That would be another vehicle, would it, for the foundation in terms of giving back? They could create something while they're alive that has a specific purpose, and then upon their passing, it could continue to be a foundation as a legacy in their honor, if you like, and could be administered by the people. So I guess we have two scenarios there, don't we? We have a will, if you like, and the estate is donated to a charitable cause of some sort, but you could make it active and you could make it part of a specific giving back philanthropic exercise in the form of a foundation. I'm just checking if I've got that right.
Exactly. I would say that if we are in a situation where the assets are in a good amount,
Yeah.
it will be good to make sure that you have the both. The will, I always suggest, even so that you have a will outside of Portugal.
Yeah.
I think it's better to make sure that you have it. But still, you can refer in the will the foundation that you have, and the foundation could just be complementary to that,
Yep.
because it can run themselves without you.
Yes.
So it's good. But in an easy, quick way to do it, and making sure that your personal and your family members and everyone that you want to make sure that are good, your pets as well.
Yes.
The will, it's just a quick fix on that. If you want to develop a little bit more and have a more structured idea in order to give back to culture, to medical research, wherever is the area that you want to go into, of course, the foundation, it's a great idea.
Very good. And how easy is it to do that?
Well, in Portugal, we are quite bureaucratic, as you know.
Yep.
However, I would say that setting up a foundation and association is not that hard.
Okay.
As you know, as well, setting up any type of entity in Portugal, it's quite fast, depending on the services and if it's a holiday or not.
Mm.
But basically, you need to do a deed. You need to have a meeting with the founder. The founder needs to collect the idea. We need to do the documentation for the foundation, and then it's a public document, and you do it in a notary or with a lawyer that is within your trust of friends and connections.
So thank you. And what's interesting about that is not just the speed, it's more a matter of the detail, isn't it? Because that's what I understand about Portuguese bureaucracy, and what you said about setting up, at the beginning of a wealth management legal tax situation, you want to be at the beginning to make sure it's set up correctly. And that's almost
Exactly.
more important than the speed, is it's to make sure it's set up right in the first place. Because that's my understanding of setting up a Portuguese company, for example. If you don't set it up right in the first place, you may have problems further down the line. So it's a bit like that with the foundation as well, is it?
And you may spend more money that you don't need to, just changing what you
Trying to
did.
fix it. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So the idea is that it's quite easy, but the information that we need in all of the process, and this is the same as I need to do a tax analysis, quite a big information in the beginning so that I don't bother you in the future.
Yeah.
So in that sense, if we have all of the information, the process is easy, but the idea needs to be very, very structured. And
Yes.
even so that the lawyers in your team can assist you in developing it, this is very, very personal, because this is your assets. You need to know what are the rules that you want to put into the will or into the foundation setup. But it's not a very complex process. I would say that in 1 month is more than sorted out in a normal situation. And the process of the idea is the one that takes a little bit longer, because you need to put that into words, and you need to put that in the statutory bodies of the foundation.
So take your time, be thorough, be thoughtful in the early process, and that will save you problems later down the line. And I'm just taking for granted you can help with the whole formation of this particular idea, can you?
Yes. Well,
Excellent.
me together, of course, with the corporate team.
Yes, of course. Yeah, very good. Okay, well, that's wonderful. And how brilliant would that be? If you come to Portugal, you love being here, and you want to give back to society, to create something like that lives on after you've passed away and can continue to give to the society. From a Portuguese point of view, is that welcome? Do you think, is that seen as a good thing, or is it something like a bit patronizing? I just want to check out with you whether you think it's a good thing as a
As a
Portuguese person.
Portuguese, not as a
Yeah,
lawyer.
yeah,
Understood. I had experience with that in the past,
right.
foundations and associations,
Yes.
and I think it's quite good. I will
Okay.
give you an example of one client without giving, of course, any
Of course.
names, but
Yeah.
we set up an association in the field of sports, and of course, to promote that sport in particular. But as well, one of the ideas is to sponsor students and people around that area of Portugal that will not be aware of that sport, or will not be having any type of help on training. So I think we can see actually that is going well, and more
Good.
than that, that the community is getting back something. Uh,
Excellent. Excellent.
so that part is good. And as well, Portugal, we have a lot of foundations Sometimes the foundations are not well known because of other things and Portuguese things. But if you do it well, it could be really a good thing, I would say.
Very good.
Especially you have a huge foundation in Portugal that is responsible for research of cancer, for instance.
Yes, Palimo, is it called?
It
Yeah.
is Gulbenkian
Oh,
as well.
Gulbenkian. Okay.
Champalimo, sorry,
Champollion. Yeah,
Champalimo.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you see the work that they do, it's quite incredible, and the
Yes,
people that they help. So it will depend, of course, what are
yes.
your intentions. But I would say that as a overall, Portuguese people are quite welcoming.
Good. Well, that's our
Uh,
experience generally. I just want I just wanted to check with you there on that. And one more thing, because I'm looking forward to speaking to you again. But let's just focus on this one particular issue, which you've been very
sure.
helpful with. Patrimony. Just a little bit of sort of jargon busting. In Portugal, patrimony is synonymous with estate. Is it? Is it effectively the same thing?
Yeah, it could be movable patrimony or immovable patrimony. I would say houses versus like shares or other type of assets
Oh,
that you
okay.
have.
Right.
But as a whole, when we say that, we are a little bit more focused on the legal words of it. But
So maybe a
per
better word,
state,
a better equivalent word would be legacy.
yeah, could
Your
be a
patrimony is
legacy.
your legacy. Okay.
I would translate into the assets that you have.
All right.
This is it.
Superb. Thank you very much. Just in case anybody needed to know that. Daniela, thank you so much. Great to talk to you this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
And
Cal,
the
for
best way to
having
get in
me.
touch with you, by the way, yes, but how do people reach out to you?
Well, they can reach out to via Instagram, Daniela Lopes Costa, or my email, or in our website. Just research OTS LCCV Law Firm, and you will find our contacts.
I'll make sure that links below what we're doing here or wherever this
Thank
appears. Cheers, Daniela. Thank you very much. Look forward to
you.
speaking to you again soon. Até a próxima. Ciao.
Até a próxima.